Hey everyone, I am back. I just came back from a day at work. I work as a full-time product manager, and right now I'm putting on the hat of the author. I am also outside of work. So there is a ton of things that I need to work on today, that I need to get ready because we are transitioning from the editing of my first book and we're going into book formatting, book production. So it's crazy. The journey until now was pretty intense, and now I just want you to take you a little bit into what I am actually doing to make everything happen. Because right now we're really working on the launch of this book, and there are a ton of things that I need to work on. And I think this could be interesting for you because usually on my channels I post things that I discuss in my book. But yeah, might be cool for you guys to see what I'm actually doing to make everything happen. So, first of all, for everyone who does not know me, my name is Lilly Sciolli. I am Swiss-based, and I am a full-time product manager and author. I've published 3 books in my teens. Those were romances, like 2 thrillers and 1 dramatic kind of story. And then I moved to Zurich, and there I started my studies in business and computer science. I finished that some years ago, and then I went into the startup scene, into corporate. Now I'm a product manager. But writing has always been the biggest passion of mine, and now I'm back writing. If you want to know why I quit my consulting job to start writing this book and then go into product management, you can check out the video I am putting up here or up here. And then if you want to know how I actually wrote my 4th book, I also made a video about the entire journey of writing. So if you're interested in that, you can also check this video out. But like very briefly, what is my book about? My book is called Who Told You to Settle? How to Make Extraordinary Your Default, launching October 2026. And it's an operating system, a framework for ambitious misfits. All people, young people who do not want to settle for average, but want to go beyond the boundaries of ordinary. They want to be exceptional in their life. They want to go an unconventional path, but they have not really figured out yet how to actually do it in a sustainable way. This was basically me 3 years ago, or even 6 years ago. I mean, when I was 20, I moved to a new city, and I always went for the big things, for the big goals in my life already in my teens or when I was a kid. But then you start going to university and you really need to figure out what you want to do in life, right? And what career to start and everything. So in my 20s, I really figured out some life principles that made it possible for me to study 100%, working on the side of 50%, go after jobs in startups, in corporates, and do a ton of side projects on the side. It was not always easy. It went with a lot of costs, but figuring out life principles to make it sustainable and do not burn out was what actually made it possible for me to go through this period of my life. And I share everything about it in my book. Well, that was a great summary, maybe a bit longer than I wanted, but so you have a bit of an understanding what I'm actually working on and why I'm doing this content, why I'm building all these channels on YouTube, on Instagram, because I want to share what I had to learn, sometimes even the hard way, with people that are starting their journey. And now that I'm finishing up eating because I'm starving, I can tell you a little bit better where we are in the journey. So 9 months ago, I started writing the book. I took 2 months off after quitting my job. And the first month, I spent it really writing 9 to 5. And then I went on a trip to Africa 1 month. There I was writing a little bit in the evenings. And then I came back, I finished the manuscript. It went into beta reading, and then it went into editing. Editing took 2 months or almost 3 months. And there we went to developmental editing, line editing, which means that you go from high level to like sentences, words, and then you go to grammar, spelling, and everything. Then yeah, it was line editing, then it was copy editing, and then proofreading. So basically the thing is like, you give your manuscript to your editor, then the editor is working on it, they give it back to you, then you're working on it. And yeah, it took 3 months, and after 3 months, which was like beginning of this week, I got the manuscript back from my editor, and I did the very last read through where I spotted some things that I still wanted to change, but it was very minor things. And basically the manuscript is now ready to go into formatting and book production. So for the formatting, what I was doing was creating with AI some visuals, because I want to also enhance a little bit how the interior looks like. I don't want to only deliver like text to my readers, but also some images that support a little bit what they were reading. I was also working on yesterday I was working on some workbooks for the reader to go on my website and be able to download those workbooks so that they can go deeper. And yeah, that's basically where I am right now, but I do have some more things that I need to work on. We're going into formatting and production, which means that we are also defining the cover of my book, which is extremely exciting, but it needs some preparation. So what I've been working on the past couple of weeks, when I knew, okay, we're getting into book production, was making some research on on the niche I am in, so that I can actually provide my designer the exact information they need to create a cover that draws user attention and basically converts people into readers. And to do this, I made some research, and I'm looking now for the file where I put in all the information. So it was basically tier 1 analysis for my book, Who Told You to Settle. I can share it with you here. So basically what I did was like looking at my niche, which is self-improvement, self-development, transformational journeys on Amazon. And I had a look at the bestsellers. So what are the books that sold the most? And the ones that got the best reviews, the ones that, were sold the most in the niche, basically. And I end up with 3 books that stand out, which are The Let Them Theory, Atomic Habits, and The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Of course, I also had a little bit to look at who is my avatar, who is my perfect reader, and what would they actually buy. So when you go on Amazon and you do this kind of research, you go and find your first tier 1 book, and then you basically see under that what other people are buying. And then you can follow that and find other books that work for you. You could also, of course, look at books that sold less, that are a bit more like relatable to what you're writing. But I always feel like looking at the ones that actually sold the best are the ones that give you directions. Why I was looking at those is because those have like specific covers that you can get inspired by, because basically this is what people buy, right? So this is how something that gets their attention and it's liked by them looks like. So I was looking at it, and if you look like for the Let Them Theory, the cover looks like this. I hope you can see it. Images. Like the cover looks like this. If you go and look for Atomic Habits, it's interesting because the cover looks very similar. Look at it. Here we have the Let Them Theory, here we have Atomic Habits, and they really do look similar. We have a very big title. In here, we have clearly shown the author name. We have, of course, a subtitle, which explains better what the book is about. And we have clear colors. They have even some sparkles and stuff. And then I was also looking at this subtle art of not giving a fuck. And this one looks like this, basically, also bold color, bold title and everything. So it was clear for me that this is the direction of where my cover design should go to. So basically, I will share this information with my designer as well. And yeah, so what I did some research, I put down some guidelines. And then, of course, what does this mean for Who Told You to Settle? Actually, I do have my brand color, which is kind of turquoise blue. And I also have like my brand font and everything. So I put together here like the idea that I have for my cover design, how it should look like, so that I can share it with my designer. And I'm very curious to see then what I'm getting back from it, right? Because I have a vision, my designer has a vision as well, and then we're working together to actually find what it's the one cover that works the best. And then we have the book description. This is also something important because in the book description, you should nail everything so that a person that is in the library, they pick up your book and they're like, oh, wow, man, I really do need to read this book. So I also here had a look at what other books do. So I looked at Let Them Theory, Atomic Habits, and the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck Again. And what they basically all do is to show you some, like going with a very usual structure: problem, solution, or even problem, the villain, who is the enemy of the avatar, like problem, avatar, enemy, solution, and basically like the promise, what do you get from this book? And so this is also how I then defined like the structure of my book's description. So basically you have a hook, one question that you, or a provocation even, then you show the problem, and you also somehow need to specify that your reader is not the problem. The problem is something else. The enemy, named the villain, that is the one thing that you're gonna fight back with your book, basically. And the book, then you kind of name the framework or the mechanism you are delivering them, and then finally like the final promise. What are you actually giving your readers? Exactly. So for me here, what's super important is like the villain. Who is the villain in my case? Like, what's the problem? The problem is that we are all born in an average life, in a world where everybody's, or like the majority of people, settles for average. Everybody's good with it. And you are in it as well. But you might have this wiring of being ambitious, of being a misfit. You don't want to go with the conventional path and everything. And so you've got to break free, right? But you don't know how. That's the problem, right? You don't know how. You don't have like the tools to do it. You have not figured it out yet. And there is one book that can show you this, like the Free Orbit formula, the formula that I have defined in my book, the 20 life principles that I'm sharing. So basically, like, this is the logic behind what I just explained. And the promise is, of course, like the outcome. What is the reader walking away with after they have read? So it's a transformation. They're creating their own orbit. They're like orbiting their identity, what they want to do. They are going to be closer to their goals, and they will be extraordinary every single day of their life. Exactly. Cool. So this is basically it, what I was working on. And I'm telling you all of this because I am now sharing with my designer all of those things. and also with the people working on the formatting for my book, also all of these things, because they do need it to work on it for me, and then we can iterate. So basically what I am doing now is I have 2 forms that I need to fill in so that they can they have all the information that they need. And I'm gonna do this now.